Despite a last-minute location and stadium setup, the 2023 WTA Finals are here, and we have the top 7 women plus Maria Sakkari, who are ready to battle for the last big trophy of the year. I'll highlight the interesting group pairings and tell you what's at stake before giving my prediction of who will win it all here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. Hey everyone, my name is Christian Basnight and you're watching Grand Slam Tennis News Today. If you need a refresher of the WTA Finals format, the 8 women are split into 2 groups, in this case the Bacalar and Chedumal groups, where they will play each group member in the round robin stage for a total of 3 guaranteed matches for each woman. The top 2 performing players from each group will then advance to the knockout round, and the top finisher from each group will face the number 2 finisher from the other in the semifinal. Those semifinal winners will then square off in the championship. When looking at the Bacalar group, the main thing that stands out to me is that matchup between Sabalenka and Rybakina that we're going to get later on in the tournament. On the flip side, we'll have a continuation of the budding Pegula-Sakkari rivalry as they will face off for the 10th time. Now, highlighting each woman's path to the finals, first starting with Sabalenka, she is the player of the year in my eyes right now. She's made the semifinals or better at all 4 slams, including winning her first major at the Australian Open, and she holds a 23-3 record at the majors. She also reached the world number 1 ranking in singles for the first time on September 11th, and she has held the top spot since. Sabalenka notched her 5th career WTA 1000 title in Madrid, and she's won 3 total titles. Sabalenka has slowed down a bit when you look at her second half season compared to her first half, although she did make that US Open final and she made the semis of Wimbledon. However, she just could not win those winnable semifinals and finals, which could have made this a Hall of Fame season for her. A trophy here can definitely make this season even more memorable for the Belarusian, and she'll have the confidence though of making the finals here last year, where she fell to Caroline Garcia, who failed to qualify for this year's championships. The world number 1 will open against Maria Sakkari on Sunday night. Next up is Elena Rybakina, who will be making her WTA Finals debut after another standout season that saw her win 2 1000 titles at Indian Wells and Rome. She nearly pulled off the Sunshine Double, finishing runner-up in Miami. Rybakina was also a finalist at the Australian Open, and she boasts a 4-0 record against world number 1s this year, as she defeated Swiatek 3 times when she was ranked number 1, and then she most recently toppled Aryna Sabalenka in Beijing. I honestly felt that Rybakina deserved a slam this year, but unfortunately she was hindered by injuries in the second part of the season. Her second half standouts include semifinal appearances in Montreal and Beijing. The 4th seed will play her first WTA Finals match against Jessica Pegula this evening. Speaking of Pegula, the world number 5 has been a beacon of consistency this entire season, as she's reached the round of 16 or better in 16 of her 18 events. She also lifted 2 winners' trophies in Montreal and Seoul, and she finished runner-up in Doha and Tokyo. Pegula was winless in her finals debut last year, but she can take solace in knowing that she won her last tournament on Mexican soil, the Guadalajara 1000 in 2022. Rounding us out here is the Guadalajara 2023 champion Maria Sakkari, who joins the field as an alternate after Karolina Muchova pulled out due to injury. Despite suffering 3 first-round exits at the majors this season, Maria has performed pretty decent otherwise. As I alluded to earlier, the Greek woman won her first 1000 title in Guadalajara, which is also her first WTA singles title since 2019. She also reached a final at the DC Open, and she made 6 other semifinals, including at Indian Wells and Madrid. Maria also remained inside the top 10 for the entire season. On paper, Sabalenka will be the favorite in this section, as she leads the head-to-head against all the other women here. She holds a 4-1 advantage over Pegula and a 6-3 lead versus Sakkari, as she dominated their 2 affairs this season in straight sets. Aryna's also 4-2 over Rybakina, but Elena has won their last 2 meetings at Indian Wells and Beijing respectively. And while Aryna's beaten Pegula in straight sets their last 4 encounters, they have not played in over a year. Sakkari might be perceived as the weakest link in this section, season, but she's going to be riding high on her strong fall form. Plus, Maria and Aryna have played twice in the WTA Finals round robin stage in 2021 and 2022, with Sabalenka winning both of those affairs. I don't know much about the conditions in Cancun, but it appears to be very windy on site, which could aid the conventionally steadier players in Sabalenka and Pegula. That matchup itself could go either way. Although she looks solid in Beijing, I don't know what to expect from Sabalenka in these windier conditions. Rybakina for me is kind of similar, but I have more confidence in her steadiness. Plus, I still believe that she's owed that big bang to cap off her year. This is an incredibly tough section to predict, but I'll play it safe and have the Kazakh be our top player, followed by Sabalenka. Meanwhile, the Chetumal group is headlined by 3 slam champions in Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, and Marketa Vondrousova. Plus, there's Ons Jabeur, a 3-time slam finalist. Swiatek and Gauff will meet for the 10th time in their career this week, which is insane. Coco notched her first ever win over the pole in Cincinnati in the semifinals there, before Iga got revenge in the Beijing Final Four last month for her 8th career win over the American. We're also guaranteed a rematch of the Wimbledon final between Ons Jabeur and Marketa Vondrousova. First, looking at Iga Swiatek, our world number 2, although it hasn't been as strong of a season for the pole compared to 2022, she's had a very, very good year. She won her 4th major title at Roland Garros, and she won a 1000 title in Beijing, like I mentioned pretty recently, and she leads the tour with 5 titles and 63 match wins this season. Swiatek, who made the semifinals last year, will start her campaign against Marketa Vondrousova on Monday. Next, third seed Coco Gauff has had a truly breakout season for her standards, as she of course won her first major at the US Open last month, and then she also won her first 1000 title at Cincinnati. That whole streak of winning Cincinnati and New York includes a season best 16 match win streak. Coco also ascended to a career high ranking of number 3, and she's looking to notch her first win in the WTA Finals when she opens against Ons Jabeur on Monday, as she went 0-3 in the round robin stage last year. Speaking of Jabeur, Ons' highlight of the year includes her Wimbledon final run, where she fell to Vondrousova. She still was able to pick up 2 more titles in Charleston and Ningbo. This is her second WTA final showing, as she went 1-2 in the group stage last year. Now lastly, Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova, of course, her highlight is winning that title at SW19, and that shot her up to a career high ranking of number 6. Marketa has also reached the quarterfinals at the US Open and the Cincinnati Open, but she really honestly has not done much this year aside from those results in Wimbledon, and she's only played 1 match since the Open, where she fell in the Beijing opening round to, I believe, Elena. Iga is the big obvious favorite here in this group, as she leads the head-to-head with everyone here: Gauff 8-1, Jabeur 4-2, and Vondrousova 2-0. Gauff is the second favorite due to her incredible second half that saw her claim that lone win over Swiatek in Cincinnati. She also dominated Vondrousova 6-3, 6-love in Montreal. Coco leads the head-to-head with Ons 3-2, though Jabeur won their last meeting, which was in the Berlin 2022 semifinals. Vondrousova, meanwhile, also leads her head-to-head with Ons 4-3 and has won all 3 of their encounters this year. I see Iga going undefeated in this section, with Jabeur joining her in the knockout stage. I was close to picking Coco instead, but I have little faith that she'll beat Iga again here, especially due to how lopsided their Beijing semifinal was despite a possible shoulder injury impeding Gauff there. I think Vondrousova is a very good matchup for Coco, and I think she'll win there, but I predict Jabeur to edge both Coco and Marketa to place second. In the championship, I picture Swiatek and Rybakina facing off, with Elena besting the pole yet again for the big title. Now, predictions aside, I do want to briefly mention Aryna and Iga's battle for the year-end number 1 ranking. Sabalenka, who currently leads Iga by 630 points heading into the finals, would seal the year-end top spot by reaching the final with a 2-1 record in the group stage. If Swiatek loses a round-robin match, Sabalenka can secure the number 1 by going undefeated in round-robin play or just reaching the final. If Swiatek loses 2 round-robin matches, Sabalenka can secure the #1 with a 2-1 round-robin record. Swiatek will need to make the championship regardless and would have to clinch the top spot by making the final if Sabalenka went 0-3 in the group stage. If Sabalenka goes 1-2 in the group play, then Swiatek will need to win the title. And then if Sabalenka goes 2-1 in the group stage, then Swiatek would need to win the title with at least 2 round-robin wins. Now remember, a player can still make their knockout stage with a 1-2 record. Then finally, if Sabalenka goes 3-0 in group play, then Swiatek would have to be perfect the entire week, winning the title with a 3-0 group record. In closing out this video, I do want to note that these finals are a bit harder to predict because the players have only had a day or so to practice on the main stadium, which was completed less than 2 days before the start of the tournament. The players are not happy at all about this, as Rybakina, for example, has spoken out against the stadium delay in windy Cancun conditions, throwing a little bit of shade at the WTA on her Instagram. There are chances of rain midway through the tournament, which could pose additional problems too. Regardless, we have a lot of exciting matchups on the cards, and I hope these women give the tour a fitting end to the season at the conclusion of its 50th year. That's it for my preview, and let me know in the comments whether you agree with me having Rybakina win the title and Iga dominating her group. Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post updates throughout the tournament. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.